Over the past 5 to 6 years, both Blender and 3ds Max have seen steady development, but in very different ways, and most importantly, at a totally different pace. So in this video, I'll give you an overview of what happened in both software in recent years. Before we continue, I want to let you guys know that SuperHive is having right now its spring sale with a 25% discount on thousands of products. So if you have some add-ons or assets in mind that you haven't picked up yet, right now is the best time to do so. And if you don't know where to start, I have great suggestions down in the description. And let's start with modeling. Since 2020, Blender's modeling has expanded via modifiers and a lot of geometry nodes. As you know, geometry nodes was introduced back in 2.9 and 3.0 to allow fully procedural modeling and instancing. You've got key new mesh modifiers, which include curve to tube and lattice deform selected in recent versions for quick non-destructive workflows. This, in addition to enhancements like merge by distance improvements. Also, mesh editing got a lot of usability tweaks, like linking per editor snapping, new face snapping for retopology, and better UV tools, like sync selection fixes, pack in, align, and arrange in recent versions too. In addition, Blender's subdivision surface modifier was optimized in version 3.4, which is up to many-fold faster on loose edges. Also, by the way, they added 3ds format, which allows or helps for max interoperability. I would say overall, Blender's modeling updates often center around procedural workflows and viewport tools. On the other hand, when it comes to modeling in Max, Autodesk updates are built on classic modeling tools. Back in 2024, they introduced a non-destructive Boolean modifier for editable mesh cutting, also a new array modifier which allows parametric distributions like standard, radial, and spirophile taxes with variable transforms. By the way, retopology tools have been enhanced too, like Retopology 1.2 back in 2023 added the ability to reverse UVs and the ability to run faster, and in 2025 they added OpenVDB remeshing flow. In addition, OpenSubdiv was updated to version 3.6 for industry standard creases. As you can see, these are just minor improvements compared to Blender in the span of 5 years or so, which focus on adding new modifiers and improving core mesh operations, especially for large scenes. Now let's talk about animation and rigging. In Blender, the animation toolset has been refined steadily. Recent rigging improvements include a new geometry attribute constraint to drive rigs from geometry node attributes, and a better handling for armature instances and custom bone pivots. In addition, shape key editing was revamped in version 5 for drag and drop ordering and multi-select adjustment. Another important thing for animators is that keyframing and the UI got polished. For example, Blender changed the playhead shape and scrubbing numbers for frame accuracy, and they added a jump time operator or hotkeys to jump keyframes by frames or seconds. Also, the NLA and dope sheet got convenience updates too, like redo panels and visible exploitation types in the NLA. And by the way, drivers can now be muted via a checkbox. Also, Blender got procedural animation updates via geometry nodes also. For example, they introduced closures to allowing injecting one node tree into another, enabling future physics and rigid body geometry nodes. On the other hand, 3ds Max's animation is anchored in its legacy CAD and biped systems, but it has seen many tweaks nonetheless. The transform list controller made it easier to blend the position, rotation, or the scale keys together, and motion path views were extended to support all transform controllers. But the most important thing, Character Animation Toolkit, or CAT, saw minor improvements like backward compatibility back in 2025, and global search for improved finding animation tools. Also, you've got a new attribute transfer modifier, which can transfer animation attributes between meshes. Notably, 3ds Max's integrated CAD and biped and track-based animation saw some very important additions. Also, we've seen some performance optimizations. For example, there is now faster skidding and weight painting in the recent versions. As you can see, Max continues using the traditional rigging and animation workflow and tools, where Blender is evolving towards more procedural and non-destructive rigging and animation. When it comes to physics and simulation, these tools in Blender have advanced via MentaFlow and geometry nodes and simulation nodes to be precise. MentaFlow for fluid simulation was incorporated around 2.82 back in 2020 and has now improved stability. But most importantly in simulation, we've got things like volume and smoke geometry nodes in Blender 5, which added a host of volume grid nodes with 27 new nodes in total to support fluid data in geometry nodes. And this actually paves the way for more procedural simulation tools. When it comes to hair simulation, it was reimagined in version 3.3, so hair became special curve objects, which you can edit via Curve Sculpt, which was an early step towards the full hair system. Rigid body and soft body dynamics remain mostly via Blender's built-in solvers like Bullet, Cloth, and mCloth, which have seen some incremental improvements and GPU acceleration. And as you know, particle systems are being replaced by geometry nodes-based solutions. When it comes to core simulation tools in Max, you've got native Cloth via Mass Effects and Hair and Fur via other legacy tools, but most importantly by plugins like Ornatrix, which saw a lot of major updates in recent years. In fact, a 2026 patch reverted some Cloth changes back to the classic behavior, indicating that Autodesk seeks some stability. But most importantly, I would say, Autodesk generally speaking doesn't give a damn about simulation, because Max integrates third-party simulations via plugins, like Phoenix FD for fluids, TypeFlow for particles, in addition to Thinking Particles among others, which replace the legacy particle flow. But here's the thing, fluid simulation in Max is now based on the Bifrost system, which lets you simulate liquids like water, oil, or honey, using a physics-based solver that handles things like gravity, collisions, and splashes in a pretty realistic way, and the workflow is built around emitters, where fluids come from, and colliders, and a solver that calculates the motion over time. It can also generate messages from simulation, and export them to formats like Alembic or VDB for rendering or pipeline use. So overall it is a solid built-in system for creating liquid effects, but in recent years it hasn't changed much, beyond some small improvements. Rigid body and soft body simulation, including Bullet and Mass Effects, remain the same like before, with no headline features. In terms of rendering, Blender built-in engines, mainly Eevee and Cycles, received actually massive upgrades. In Cycles X, which was released back in 2021, reworked the GPU renderer for speed. Subsequent releases added denoising and sampling improvements too, for example, better sampling patterns, Intel image denoiser, optics, etc. And Cycles around 3.4 introduced path tracing for CPU rendering, yielding crisper interiors and volumes. In addition, Blender has greatly expanded GPU support. As of 3.6, AMD GPUs support hardware ray tracing and light tree acceleration, and Apple GPUs saw nano VDB volume support for efficiency, so loading heavy geometry and Cycles became 5 to 60 times faster in that version alone, and OSL shaders got Materials X support. On the other hand, Eevee added features like transparent render pass and viewport denoise, and now it supports node and Udin workflows, in addition to many other things, without talking about Eevee Next, which made everything much better. The great thing about 3ds Max is that it bundles Arnold as the main path tracer, and let me tell you, it is a beast, because it is used in many huge projects over the years. Arnold offers both CPU and GPU rendering, and Max also integrates NVIDIA MDL materials via MDL libraries, and support export to NVIDIA iRay, which is an additional nice thing. The viewport engine supports OpenGL and DirectX, but has no full path tracer mode, though NVIDIA Omniverse viewport can connect via USD. And 3ds Max, as you may know, provides slate and material editors, which have seen no major overhaul in the last few years. And unlike Blender, 3ds Max has no built-in real-time engine like Eevee, because it relies on Arnold in addition to external engines like V-Ray, Redshift, and so on for production rendering. When it comes to performance and scalability, the interesting thing about Blender is that its render engines and data import grew much faster. because now cycles can load meshes, attributes, UVs, point clouds, etc. many times faster. Also, GPU ray tracing accelerated much more on hardware such as AMD RT, Intel Embry, and Apple Metal. Also, Blender's Undo interface and sculpt modes also saw memory and undo optimizations. The thing is, Blender's dependency on Python add-ons means some scenes with complex scripts can be slower, but core tasks actually leverage C++, which is better. 3ds Max's performance focus has been on the UI and some file handling. Many user interfaces were implemented in the Qt to speed scrolling and filtering. Also, auto backup and safe compression made saving huge scenes much faster. Most importantly though, recently for example, skinning got a major boost, so FBX skin loading and weight painting are now much faster. In addition, Turbo Smooth became multi-threaded, with about 2x the speed. However, some users report thread utilization issues in the latest versions. And when it comes to scene handling between Max and Blender, it is actually kind of a known fact that Max can handle more and larger scenes compared to Blender, even though Max still requires careful memory management, especially for extremely large scenes or complex shaders, which can slow down the viewport, given Max's predominantly CPU-based computation. Now let's take a look at industry adoption. A survey data shows that Blender and Max serve different niches. According to a 2024 industry survey, 87% of Max users are professionals, versus 50% in Blender who are professionals, reflecting that Max actually is entrenched in studios, especially in architecture, engineering, and visualization, also in VFX and game dev to a certain extent. And indeed, I think 3ds Max has the fewest users in media and entertainment, but as you can expect, it fares well in technical visualization, like in ArchViz and so on. By contrast, Blender's user base is younger and hobbyist heavy, and it is widespread in animation, VFX, game dev, basically everywhere. Interestingly enough, Blender has the largest 3D printing user base and strong representation in advertising and general animation productions. So the general consensus is many AAA studios still use 3ds Max to a certain extent, in addition to ArchViz for some legacy game pipelines and visualization work, while Blender is growing in indie and film projects, which is actually a good thing since it is free and it is giving everybody equal opportunities. And there you have it, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.